Hey, what's up guys? Today's video is all about the basic Ark controls on PS4. I get comments from brand new Ark players all the time, so I wanted to create a quick beginner's guide for you guys. Let's jump into it. Now, it all starts the same. You spawn in naked on a beach, you itch your arm, you look around. You know what? First instinct usually is to start moving around to get a feel for the controls. As you guys can see, left stick to move the player, right stick to move the camera. You will use them both to control both your player and your dinosaur while you're playing the game. And then, of course, X is going to be jump. Now, if you click that right stick, guys, you will actually crouch down. You can see that here, the character crouches. And then if you click and hold it, you're actually going to lay the character flat in a prone position against the ground. And then if you click it one more time, guys, that right stick, that's right, you're going to stand back up again. While we're out and about in the world, there's all sorts of resources that we're going to want to pick up and harvest. First off, guys, we are going to be using triangle to pick up items or harvest resources off the ground like loose stones or bushes. However, you'll notice you cannot use triangle to harvest large rocks or trees. For that, you guys are actually going to be pressing R2 to punch your target. That's right, guys. R2 is going to punch your arms back and forth, and punching trees will actually collect raw materials that you can use to craft. Now, speaking of crafting, we can pull up our inventory with the circle button. And you can see from your materials listed on the left-hand side, we've been picking things up. So berries from those bushes that we picked, thatch and wood from the trees that we punched. Now, if you double click a usable item like berries, it will automatically move that stack to your hotbar in the first available slot. And then you can also manually place or move items around the hotbar. It doesn't just have to be in the open slots, you can reorganize it all the time. You can use triangle in the actual inventory part of your menu to split these stacks in half, or press square to just split off one piece. You can see those controls at the top of the page there. Now, if your inventory starts to fill up with all of the splitting, halving, and the items that you've picked up and harvested, you can just press L2 to drop each item on the ground. So you can see here, L2, L2, L2 a bunch of times, and I can throw all of these items onto the ground. Now, pressing R1 will switch you guys between that inventory tab and your crafting tab. Your crafting tab is where you will be able to see all available learned engrams that you can craft. If you have all of the resources necessary to craft any of these engrams, it will glow just like this pickaxe engram. You can see at the top I have enough resources for 2 pickaxes, but I just want to craft 1, so I'm going to press R2. Now, once it's crafted, guys, it goes back into the inventory tab, and we can double click it again with X to throw that down on the hotbar next to those berries. We can now harvest trees more efficiently, as well as rocks, which are unaffected by fists. So you are going to need tools for some resources no matter what. And then we'll use any of the hotbar buttons. As you can see, we have the D-pad buttons on the hotbar, and then we access the second half by holding the L1 button and then utilizing the corresponding button, square, triangle, circle, X. All weapons are a little bit different, but primarily you're going to be utilizing just a couple of buttons to use them. The spear, for example, you're going to be able to thrust with quick jabs if you press the R2 button consecutively. However, pressing and holding the L2 button is actually going to draw the spear back to throw it, and then if you release the L2 button, it will actually throw the spear at the target. As you can see, I just threw it at the parasaur, and the parasaur is now going to run away. And then, of course, don't forget square is going to be your reload button. The building mechanics are pretty straightforward in Ark. Placeable structures will glow green. Structures that can't be placed either show up red or not at all. Now, we're going to press R2 to start placing this foundation. However, when it comes to foundations, pressing R2 one time will actually fix it in place, but allow you to manipulate the orientation. So I can turn it in a different angle, facing a different direction if I wanted to. And once we're satisfied with the way that we're facing, we're going to press R2 again to finalize the placement. Now, when you guys walk up to the placed foundation, or any structure for that matter, you will see that it says press triangle to pick up for a 30-second timer, and press and hold triangle for more options. You can see a wheel here pop up when we press and hold it that allows us to change the look of the foundation. We can switch it to a block, and then back to a regular foundation where we can see the legs, as well as options to pick up or destroy the structure. Once we have our foundations laid down, we're going to pull out our walls. Now, once we pull out a wall, it will automatically show you in green the potential snap points on the structure. Green means it can snap together. Red means that it cannot. Typically, a red wall means that it is obstructed by something in front or behind or above the wall, and so it's not going to let you snap it together. We're going to press R2 the same way to snap that wall onto the foundation, or snapping another wall to another wall. Structure to structure, we're going to use R2. As a side note, guys, be careful not to build on a slope. Foundations will not float in the air. So just keep that in mind, guys. Look for nice flat spots as often as you can. There are workarounds. However, this is just the basics for building. But in general, Ark building mechanics are pretty fun to mess around with. So now most of the basics are out of the way, and we've already tamed up some dinos. I wanted to show you guys some more of the basics for shoulder pets and using/flying with your dinos. For example, shoulder pets here, when I walk up to the Sonoma crops, you will see that it says press triangle to pick up. You are only able to pick up one shoulder pet at a time. Now, to get rid of the shoulder pet and throw it off of your shoulder, you're going to double press triangle. So triangle, triangle to throw the shoulder pet in front of you. However, you cannot throw a shoulder pet if you are looking directly at a structure. So what does that mean? If you can see the options on the screen, that wording, it means that you're too close to the structure. You're looking down at the floor, down at the electrical cable, at the wall, whatever it is, you have to look out into a semi-open space to throw the shoulder pet. So again, when it comes to basic controls, guys, triangle is the most used button in Ark, and so you have to be aware of what other things around you might be responding to when you're pressing triangle. Now, for regular dinos, you will also mount and dismount with triangle. The difference is some of these dinos will require saddles, some do not. The Daeodon requires saddles, Direwolf does not. Same thing with flyers, guys. The RG requires a saddle. Wyverns do not require saddles. So we'll go ahead up to the Wyvern and we'll press triangle to mount the Wyvern. And then you can see, guys, just like the player, left and right stick. And we're going to move the Wyvern around on the ground. To take off with your flyer, we're going to press X. You can see it will hover in the air without touching the sticks. It will just sit there in the air. You can press X to, again, land. And then if we want to fly around, guys, we'll press X to take off. And we'll use our left and right sticks in the air to fly the Wyvern around, fly whatever the flying creature is. And then you'll press the left stick to sprint. Just like you do with your character, you can press the left stick to toggle the faster flying on and off. Pretty straightforward, guys. Again, come back in for the landing, press X. Finally, we're going to be using our center touchpad to pull up and put away our world map. An absolute essential in Ark because these biomes and these maps are absolutely gigantic. Press one time to pull up the map, press the touchpad again to get rid of the map. When we press and hold the touchpad, we're actually going to bring up our camera wheel where we can change the camera angle, third person, orbital camera, Or we can toggle tame names, which is simply going to turn off the tame names in the vicinity. You actually have to be close enough to the dino to see the name pop up. And then toggling your HUD on and off, which basically, as you can see, just clears all of the info off of the screen. If we press the options button, guys, we're going to pull up the pause screen where you can find even more option settings and a very helpful picture of the controller layout. So if you ever have any question about anything I went over in the beginning of the video, you can reference this here in the options menu. Finally, if you hold the square button, you will open up your whistle menu for your dinos and, my favorite, the emotes, like this one here that waves goodbye. Thanks for hanging out, guys. I'll see you in the next one.